What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. I'm joined today with Karoline. How do you pronounce your last name? I know it in Chinese is Gong, but
Kaon. What can
yeah,
I
oh,
say?
Cohn. Okay, cool. Far out. All right. So Karoline Cohn, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Dan?
Oh, I can't really complain. And for those of you in the audience, you need to know what's going on. And in these chance encounters, this is what I do. I interview commercial real estate investors and I ask them, okay, there are five different motivations that people have to get a bunch of acquisitions, and which one is you? Then I go through the Dan Does Deals commercial roll die, which that's right, Carolyn has one printed out when you can get your very own and printed out on dandoesdeals.com. And that way you can learn to communicate effectively on the subject of commercial real estate on your own. But one of the most important things you're also going to have to be able to do if you're going to make it in commercial real estate is you're going to need to learn how to introduce yourself. So, Carolyn, could you please introduce yourself for the audience?
Yeah, so hey everyone, my name is Karoline with a K, and I'm a podcast host for two different shows, and I'm also a real estate investor and a full-time teacher in the New York City public school system.
All right, good stuff, good stuff. So let's move to the first segment, which requires me to hit this button right here, and then I hit this button right here. And this is the motivation piece. And see, normally I go through this motivation piece first because if I'm talking to a newbie, they're going to know their motivation. Maybe they won't know the role that they're going to play, but at least they'll know the motivation. So these are the five of them. The first one is to preserve purchasing power. So if you are a family office or something like that, the name of the game is you've got this amount of wealth and you're getting cash flow from that, and that's how you make ends meet. If inflation rears its ugly head, sure, your assets value go up, but you don't want to touch them anyway, and you're relying on that cash flow that's now shrinking in value. So what you're looking to do then is to make more acquisitions so that you're staving off inflation. So that's the first reason. The second reason is my one, which is I'm in the tech industry. I've got all of this different stuff going on in the web-based e-commerce sector, and that makes me a high wage earner. But that also means that I'm paying the most taxes as a percent of what I make compared to anybody. So I'm like, well, that doesn't sound so great. So it figures, well, I might as well make this pivot into where I'm going on to the GP team. And then that way I'm getting rewarded in the form of equity. And so I'm trading my time directly for wealth. So that's the next motivation, and that's my one. The next motivation is the most common one. Some people want to fast track their retirement. Okay, so one of the big things about fast tracking a retirement is that it's implying that there's an end goal. So there's an end goal where maybe you only want to work one day a week or one day a month or something like that. That's what's implied when you're talking about fast tracking your retirement. But that's in contrast to the next group. They're the generational wealth people. They're super ambitious. They want to buy their entire hometown, and so those guys, they're so ambitious that they want to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to work a day in their lives. Okay. If you're looking for that kind of generational wealth, then you're going to keep on going no matter what. But the next group, they're a little bit different. What they do is they choose a sector of society, or maybe it's the environment, or maybe it's animals, or something like that. And they realize that if you want to make a really big impact in society, the best vehicle to do so is definitely by generating wealth, so that, like when you're putting it in your will, you can give a whole lot more and make a bigger difference. So that's this one right here, is that they choose some sector of society as their main motivator. So of those five, Karoline, what resonates with you? What best describes you?
So I'd have to say it's the fast track to retirement. I don't want to trade my time for money anymore. And I'm in this point in my life where I have two young kids and my parents weren't really around for all of my school events. And so I want to be there for my kids' events. And there are also some causes that I really believe in that I want to support. And so those are kind of my two motivators, although I wouldn't say that they're necessarily tenants, but there's groups that I want to support more.
So you're looking for the freedom of time thing. So maybe I'll have to make that as a bigger slide. Just where you're able to do more in less time each week. And I love that whenever that subject comes up of trading time for money, because I keep on people saying, "Oh, you got to stop trading your time for money," all that sort of stuff. But I think that if we flesh that out a little bit more, you'll probably agree that we have to stop selling our time to just one person. You have to sell the exact same time to way more people at once, because that's really the name of the game in commercial real estate, right? Like especially in multifamily, it's all of those tenants are paying for the same time, as opposed to just having one employer that you're selling all your time to, right? So I didn't think we were going to go there, but let's get moving before we get too far in the weeds. So, you might be sitting here thinking, it's like, okay, well, I don't know commercial real estate. I like these two people. I want to listen to them, but I don't really get it. Well, this should get you on board as far as understanding how to make a deal. Okay. So here we are going from the start. First one, repositioner. That's a person that looks at a whole bunch of different properties and they're looking for the ones that make sense. Okay, cool. We got it in stereo. This is cool. So so the repositioner, they're looking at a bunch of different properties and they're doing the math, and they have a fancy word for doing the math. They call it underwriting it. And so when you're underwriting it or doing the math, you're looking to see, it's like, is this property actually making the amount of money that this person who wants to sell it to me says it actually is? Because there's a good chance the answer is no. But the other thing that they're doing, the other reason why they're doing that math, is because they're looking for upside. And they have two different main tools for upside. The first one is operations. And efficient operations means that fewer of those Benjamins go down the toilet. Okay, so you operate more efficiently, you cut down those expenses, you basically make upgrades so that you end up paying less in operations all the different times. But right now, real estate is so hot that this probably isn't going to cut it. It's probably not going to be enough to make the property make sense. So the other tool in the repositioner's toolbox is getting a contractor team to fix the place up, make the place nicer so you can charge more in rent. I was talking to somebody just yesterday about how even in an A-class property, they still were able to do value add by switching out the black appliances for stainless steel. And so because of that, they were able to raise rents because COVID ended up going wacky with it. So it's a really wild play that like even in that you can still have those contractor value adds by replacing appliances. But anyway, that's all well and good. Those are the three main parts as far as most people are concerned. But if you're from the internet like I am, you're also going to need a local. Okay, so you're going to need somebody, the boots on the ground, who can be there in an hour or two. And that's not going to be me, because I'll probably still be looking for my passport in an hour. So that's not going to be me. And if you're a tenant, you probably think of those four groups and say, it's like, oh, well, they're the owners. You just say that they're the owners. But of course, there's more to it than that. Of course, the banks have to get their paws into everything. And if you want to buy a property that's $10 million or tens of millions of dollars or however much it is, you're probably going to be going to a bank and you're going to say, hey, can you by any chance lend me tens of millions of dollars? Financiers and capital raisers and all those types of people. And the thing that's going to be a little bit of a surprise, even if you're like learning this from a book or getting coaches or whatever, is the financier is going to have one really important question that you haven't answered between these guys, and that is, who is the sponsor? Who is the KP? Okay, and what's a sponsor or KP? Well, if Elon Musk richest guy on earth decides that he wants to buy a 350 unit apartment complex or a 1500 unit apartment complex. Well, if he wants to get a loan, he needs to have somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset, or they're not going to get the loan. And there are a couple other restrictions. One is that there has to be a certain amount of liquidity made available to show the financiers, and there also has to be a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you check all of those boxes, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So, Karoline, as far as core competencies, areas you'd be willing to contribute, all that sort of thing, where do you? What are your core competencies?
Yeah, so I would say I'm a repositioner.
Mm-hmm.
I as a female, when I was younger, I shied away from math because I thought, I can't, girls aren't good at math. All my math teachers were male. But I realized as an adult that I really like math and I love looking at spreadsheets. And so crunching numbers is something that I find is my strong suit. And it's done well for me in the single family space. So that's where I see myself. But I was just curious, where would capital raiser fall into this?
Yeah, capital raisers are a form of financier. Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure, so I had to clarify. But yeah, I think those two areas are probably my strong suit.
Right, right, right. And that's the thing. It's like every repositioner has to do some capital raising as a function of what they do. So there you go. That makes perfect sense. And as far as your ideal property goes, and for that I mean, like, what is easier to say yes to, what's more difficult to say no to, as far as unit counts, the geography, in the class for you. So if somebody's serving up exactly what you ask for right now, what would be the tastiest dish?
Yeah, thanks. So I would say 100 to 200 size units, and ideally class B or class C that we can do some value add and upgrade. That's ideally owned by a mom and pop, like smaller group, not necessarily a group that owns real estate. And what was the other question?
Yeah, it was geography, it was unit
Oh,
count, and class. So
and then geography, based out in North Carolina. So the Raleigh area is like my main target.
okie doke, great, great. And we ended up meeting through LinkedIn, especially through Yona Weiss's CRE challenge. Is LinkedIn the best way to reach out to you, or is it through a website, or what's the skinny?
Yeah, so people can find me on LinkedIn, and they can also find me on thefirstdealshow.com.
All right, beautiful. And I got one thing to say to you in the little glass doodad camera thing there, which is, if I could please for a moment draw your attention just below my left hand, you'll notice the red button of anger and sadness. And you must destroy the red button of anger and sadness and replace it with the wonderful gray button of tranquility. How do you do this? You just click on it and it's free. It costs you nothing at all, and it has magical powers. The magical powers are, it makes YouTube pay for these videos instead of me, which is better. And it also will make it so that these videos might show up in your list of suggestions. There are no guarantees about that, but if you could do that, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Karoline, I have one other question for you, which is without breaking any SEC restrictions, which means you cannot entice investors. That's a big fat no-no. Who is best suited to reach out to you in real estate, as far as like, who are you better suited to help? Like are you looking for more capital raisers? Are you looking more like operators, contractors? Who do you want to meet more of?
I want to meet some more operators and capital raisers. I have some family and friends that are interested in investing, and so I have a handful of people that I know, but I'd like to see what others are doing and see if there's more opportunity out there.
All right, beautiful, great. So that's exactly how you help Karoline. You know that the way to help me is by hitting subscribe, and if you've done that, you've done me an enormous favor. Just like Karoline, you've done me an enormous favor by joining me today. It's been wonderful getting to know you a little bit better.
Likewise, appreciate you having me, Dan.
All right, awesome. Thanks.
506 BB, everyone.
Oh.
Get in this code.
Oh, yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm on 506 Me. Okay, so how do I just open up my QR code and then I just scan it?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yeah.
Okay, and then what?
And then you do the instructions.
Oh, I just log in right here.
Yeah.
Oh, and here's your video right here. Okay.
Yeah.
And so this is enough for compliance, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So this proves that I know who you are and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Cool. I think everybody should 506 me.
Or you.
Awesome. Thanks. I'll see you around.
You too.
I just want to tell you, because I've actually seen your website, Real Estate is a Scam, before, and I loved it.
Oh,
And,
cool.
Yeah, because I think it's really so spot on. There's good stuff, bad stuff in every industry.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell. For Dan the Man.
And thank you. Turn that subscribe button from red like his beard to gray like his beard will be.
So I met Dan through some networking groups for real estate investing. He's a great guy from what I know about him. He's very ambitious and he makes it easy to come on with his questions and has a great setup. It's easy, it's clear, concise, and I'd recommend going on his interviews for anyone that's considering it.
It was unlike anything I've ever experienced. It was super fun. The process was so easy, a caveman can do it. I mean, if you guys haven't done it yet, you guys need to get on his calendar. Just take 15 minutes of your time, get exposure, find out who Dan is, what he's about. He's a true trifecta. And if you don't know who he is, get in touch with him. Google his name, find him on LinkedIn, do whatever you can. Just reach out to him.
So I really appreciate the format. Like I've told you a couple times before, I think it's really great because me personally, I'm very long-winded. I have to purposefully make things more concise, but the way I take things in is I definitely prefer things to be concise and straight to the point and concentrated. And the chance encounters really do that great for individuals. So you can get a good grasp on who they are, what do they do, why do they do it, what space do they operate in. That's why I love chance